Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is now our third episode of the podcast, Culmination of Randomness. We are your hosts, AeonWraith.
And Red Shadow. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday morning as Wraith and I discuss whatever happens to cross our minds.
In today's episode of the Culmination Podcast, Shadow and I are going to try to discuss foods, that we don't really get tired of, or on the flip side, foods that, you really have to have a craving for in order to eat it. So let's go ahead and discuss that, wherever it's going to lead us. All right, Shadow, which one do you want to start with? You want to start with foods you love, or foods that you kind of need to be in the right space for?
Let's go with foods we love. Let's go with foods we
Okay.
love. You want to start off, or do you want me to start off?
Yeah, I could start off. This may be kind of kind of funny, but so when I was in Japan, I had the same thing pretty much every day for dinner, every day, and I did not get tired of it. And that was katsudon from Lawson's, which is a convenience store. Not the healthiest option, of course, because it's not a home cooked meal, but it's a pretty simple-ish dish. It's like a breaded pork cutlet with egg on top of rice. And man, I would eat that every single day, sometimes twice a day. I would eat it for lunch and dinner. And no matter how much I had that, man, I did not get tired of it. Like I don't know if it was the flavor profile or if maybe those are the nutrients my body was really wanting.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, foods like that I'm really into, which I call comfort foods. They're not necessarily the most aesthetically pleasing, but they taste great, and man, they hit the spot.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
See, I'm kind of like that. Not. I mean, and they don't even have to be foods I love necessarily, but like I'll get on a food kick, right? And I might eat the same thing from anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months. And I'll
mhm.
just like especially when I'm going to work. I'll eat the same thing at work every day for 6 months. And then one day I'll wake up and I'll just be like, you know what? I want to try something different. And then I'll get something different and I'll eat that for 4, 5, 6 months. It just depends. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's less.
Yeah, I have been on similar binges like that, especially I know when we were going to high school and other similar things like that, where like I'd have a peanut butter and jelly every
Mm-hmm.
day until a day I'm like, you know what, I want a ham sandwich, and then I'd have a ham sandwich every day. So I went back to peanut butter and jelly.
Mm-hmm. Like I
But
think I think one of the biggest things for me is I by doing that I eliminate having to think about, oh, what am I gonna have tomorrow? Oh, what am I
mhm,
gonna have tomorrow? Oh, what am I gonna have tomorrow? I've never been that type of person. Like like growing up, my mom always made different foods and my grandparents always made different foods, but like me personally, ever since I've been an adult, I just keep the same stuff in the house all the time, and then like me and Demon started cooking again recently,
oh yeah,
and literally the only things we've made is spaghetti.
I mean spaghetti is pretty fantastic.
I've made spaghetti like 7 times, and Mexican spaghetti like twice, which is still spaghetti. It's just Mexican
Yeah,
instead of Italian.
yeah, because like we have, I mean, in my household, we have some go-to staples
Mm-hmm.
that like if we're like, well, what do we make this weekend? Well, I don't know. Okay, well, let's do this dish. And for us, that's what we call chicken and peppers, um, which is a recipe that we found in a. Whoops, hold on just a second. I was pulling up your stream and accidentally
Oh.
had the volume on. All right, we found in a cookbook from Betty Crocker in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so I have looked in every Betty Crocker cookbook following, and this recipe has not been in there since. So we still have that book from the 80s. I scanned it into the computer, so we made sure to keep it. Um, but it's just like it uses you like bacon fat, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
to fry your chicken in. Um, and it's you put that on rice, and it's just really really good. So whenever we're like, well, I don't know what we want to eat, we do chicken and peppers.
Right.
Uh, and it's it's one of those recipes that we've done for years, and it's never like, man, I'm not enjoying this. Like sometimes I have had times where like there's a food I like. You know me, whenever we go out to restaurants or when we did back before COVID, I would always get chicken tenders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's some times where I'd be eating and I'm like, I'm just eating this to eat, I'm not
Right.
really enjoying this. But I usually don't have that with, my staple recipes.
Mm-hmm.
Or you mentioned spaghetti. Spaghetti is one, like, I'm never going to say no to spaghetti. Well, I'll say no to spaghetti at Olive Garden because it's not the spaghetti I like.
Yeah, I have to
But
agree. If I go to Olive Garden, I'm definitely not getting spaghetti. I've had their spaghetti. I like my spaghetti way
right,
better than I like theirs.
so I just like my sauce to noodle ratio better.
Yeah. Well, see, there's a lot of different ways to make spaghetti, and I've had spaghetti made a bunch of different ways. Like, everybody makes it different, Everybody likes it
Hmm.
different. I personally put my sauce in the spaghetti, like as it's cooking, like I put it in
Mm,
there as it's cooking, so that it kind of heats up and cooks with the new the way I do it is in an Instapot nowadays. Used
yeah.
to used to whenever I would make it on the stove, I would boil the noodles, strain the noodles, put the noodles in a bowl, and then I would warm up the not pizza sauce, the spaghetti sauce in like a saucepan. I would
Yeah.
pour it all in the saucepan, and sometimes I would add like some extra like garlic or some extra like oregano or whatever, and I would stir it up real good and heat it up, and then I would pour it on the noodles and mix it all together.
Hmm.
Because that's how I like it. I like it all mixed in together. And I've seen a lot of people that'll put like just plain spaghetti noodles on a plate and just put the sauce on top of it.
I've see like what we do in my family. We do it separately. Like we do the sauce in a sauce pan,
Uh
and
huh.
then when we're getting our plate, we put the noodles on and then add the sauce because I'm a little different from the rest of my family. They like a lot of sauce. I like my noodles to just barely be coated in the
Yeah.
sauce.
See, I
So I
love
use
spaghetti sauce.
yeah, I barely use any because I like to be able to taste the pasta along with the spaghetti sauce, and there's too much spaghetti sauce. That's all I'm tasting. So
Yeah.
I like to have my noodles just barely coated. But then again, I'm a big fan of pasta or really carbohydrates in general. Um, so I really like to be able to taste my bread. I like to be able to taste my potatoes and not
Yeah.
just have them drowned out by other stuff. It's why I'm not a big fan of loaded baked potatoes because that cheese, that sour cream, that may taste good to other people, but I really like to taste my potato.
I don't even like baked potatoes. Like, I just never have. I just don't get the fascination with them. Like, I'll eat mashed potatoes all day long, but I just
Hmm.
don't get baked potatoes. Like, I don't like breakfast potatoes all that much either.
Well, those
Like
are
like
spiced. Yeah, they have different seasonings on there.
like
Because
I like potato wedges, and I
yeah,
like French fries, and I like chips, and I like mashed potatoes. That's
because
about the extent.
mashed potatoes are simple, and I do love freshly made mashed potatoes where you take your potatoes, you boil them, and then you mix them with butter and milk
Uh huh.
and salt, of course, and they're just fantastic. I mean, occasionally, I'll go and I'll get some mashed potatoes from like, the refrigerator section in Walmart, but they rarely ever hit that same spot, right? Well, that's also because when you're cooking, you're making it to your specific tastes.
Mhm.
Whereas a lot of these foods that you'll buy probably
Yeah.
are mass marketed.
Right.
So, uh, just for a little bit, I want to talk about, I guess, ingredients that we really like. So, like, what's an ingredient you can add in a dish that will instantly make it better?
Ooh, that's a hard one because I don't personally do a whole lot of cooking. But me personally, if I'm gonna add anything, a lot of people add salt. I never
Hmm.
add salt to nothing, ever,
Mm.
never. But I will add all kinds of black pepper. I love black pepper. Black pepper go
Mhm.
good on everything. Like if we're at a
Mhm.
restaurant, and say we're eating breakfast, if I get eggs, I'm putting pepper on those eggs. If I get sausage,
Mhm.
I'm putting pepper on that sausage. I'll put pepper on the bacon. I'll put pepper on the biscuits and gravy. Like I can't say that I've ever put pepper on pizza or
It would go well, I would say, though.
any Italian food really. I don't mess with Italian food. Like
Mm.
I don't add to it. I don't subtract from it. I eat it as is because it's always usually so rich and flavorful. But
Mhm.
anything else, any kind of like macaroni and cheese, black pepper. Mashed potatoes, black pepper. We're
Mhm.
having roast beef, black pepper. You know, I mean, another thing that goes really good with it, pretty much anything, and there for a while, especially when I was a teenager, A1 steak sauce. I
Yeah, I
put
was gonna.
that.
Yeah.
I put that on everything. I put that on chips. I put that on ice cream. I put that on like everything.
Mhm. Yeah, because I was gonna say, like for me, it's like Worcestershire sauce. Yeah. Which is very similar to steak sauce.
Hmm.
Like if I'm making curry, I'll add that in there, or sometimes I'll just make rice, uh, and just do a little mixture of soy sauce and Worcestershire sauce and put that on the rice, and that's my dinner for the night.
Uh huh.
For a good time, and I'd still say kind of now, just not as much. I did love ketchup.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I wouldn't go and like put ketchup on things that I thought didn't deserve ketchup. Like, I've seen people dip their pizza and stuff like ranch, and that's just weird.
No. If I dip
But
pizza in anything, when I was a teenager, I dipped my pizza in Thousand Island dressing. But
yeah, nah.
that was only because Demon was dipping his in ranch, and I didn't want to
Yeah.
dip mine in ranch, so I dipped it in that. But if I dip my pizza in anything nowadays, it's marinara. Like it's just more
Mm,
pizza sauce.
yeah.
Cause sometimes you get a pizza and like it just doesn't have enough sauce on it.
Hmm.
Like it's got too much cheese or too much condiments. And if you bite into it and it's not saucy, I'll add extra. I'll just dip it in marinara sauce and eat extra marinara sauce.
Hmm. Yeah, because like for me, like I'm a kind of a purist when it
Mhm.
comes to most, or I'm gonna say most foods really. So for pizza, I like cheese pizza, and that's about it. None of the other toppings really suit me except for onion. I'll put onion on my pizza. Um, and so whenever I eat a pizza, it really depends on the dough
Mhm.
whether I like it. If the dough's got the right flavor profile, which is why Domino's had started this thing back when we were in high school. They started putting like garlic salt on their dough, and it would just ruin it for me.
Yeah. I honestly, if I get pizza from Domino's these days, I ask for it without the garlic seasoning.
Yeah. And so for me, I really like to have that flavor of the bread, and then same thing with my spaghetti, like a coating of sauce, but not dripping.
Mhm.
Just because I guess I like the way that those flavors mesh together.
Right.
Because I mean, like I love specific flavors. Like I love peanut butter, but I still try to make sure if I'm making a sandwich with peanut butter that it has an equal ratio to whatever else is in there.
Mhm.
Whether it's jelly or marshmallow fluff. Just because I like the mixture of flavors, I guess. It's one reason why I guess when I was younger and I used to eat like candies, I would take two different flavors and eat them at the same time.
Mhm. Interesting.
Mhm. I did it a lot with Skittles. Uh, see, and then oh, what were they called? Hold on, I'll get it in a second. Oh, I don't remember what they were called. They were really vibrant colored discs.
Like Necco wafers,
No, I mean I love Necco wafers, but like neon colored, almost very vibrant,
like sweet tarts, or bigger.
bigger.
Hmm. It's not
Yeah,
ringing a.
because like both the ones you mentioned are kind of pale in color, and the one I'm thinking of, I think it starts with an S. I can't think of it right now.
I mean, just sweet
Uh,
tarts or. That's it. That's it. That's all I got.
yeah, but those I used to like to mix those flavors together. Or Shock Tarts was another one that I used to do that too.
Oh
I don't even know
yeah.
if they make Shock Tarts anymore.
I don't know. I like Shock Tarts. You know what I didn't like? Oh, I liked them at first. I love sour Skittles. But
Hmm.
if you eat them too much, like they just literally sandpaper the roof of your mouth.
Well, the reason why I stopped eating Shock Tarts was because I had been eating them all day at this one point, and my tongue just started to bleed. And
Mm.
like, you know what? I probably shouldn't go to this level ever again. So I just
Yeah.
stopped eating most sour foods.
Yeah.
Now, um, we talked kind of about spaghetti and about making changes here or there. So when you're doing a food that you like, do you often try to change something here or there, or do you try to keep it the same?
It depends. Recently, I've gotten back into like the cooking, and I've been using the Instapot and stuff like that. The very first time I made spaghetti, it just wasn't. It's like it just wasn't. It was spaghetti, but it just tasted like noodles and spaghetti sauce.
Hmm.
So the first time I made it, I just it was noodles, spaghetti sauce, and meat. The second time I made it, I changed things up a little bit, and I looked up a different recipe online, and I basically did meat, ground beef, noodles, uh, spaghetti sauce, and I used the meat spaghetti sauce, and then
Mm.
I added a can of diced tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
Well, the next time I made it, that was better. It was a little more hearty, a little more thick. But I was like, I want something different. So the next time, I was like, well, garlic goes really good with Italian food. I was like, I got garlic diced tomatoes instead of the regular diced tomatoes. And I tried those. And it was a little better, but it still wasn't quite right. And the last time I made it, they had fire or oven roasted garlic diced tomatoes,
Hmm.
and I bought those and I put those in there, and then I also did a different sauce. Instead of doing a meat sauce, I did like a Italian herb sauce
Hmm. Yeah.
instead. And oh man, it was just so good. It was so much better because
Hmm.
I already had meat in it. There was no need for me to get
Right.
meat flavored sauce. Like adding in the extra like flavorings from the Italian seasoned sauce was just so much better.
Hmm. Yeah, 'cause I usually go for that, that Italian herb and garlic sauce, um, rather than meat. Well, I'm not a big fan of meat,
Hmm.
but rather than meat sauce, my brothers are a very big fan of meat sauce. And if they have a choice, they'll do that, but they'll usually still branch out to do like different like Italian sausage sauce or like different types of meat.
Hmm.
Um, but one thing I'll say, I don't know if you ever do this. Do you put salt in with your noodles?
I usually don't add salt to anything, like I said before,
Hmm.
including like if I'm cooking, unless the recipe specifically calls for salt in some form or fashion, I do not put salt in it.
Mm.
Like I've just never liked the taste of salt. Now, like there are specific things I none of them come to mind, but like sometimes when you're making something, it might call for a teaspoon of salt or something like that, and I'll put that in there because it calls for it. But if it doesn't
Hmm.
call for it, I don't usually add it.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, because generally, at least when I make noodles, I like to put in a sprinkling of salt into the water, before I boil them.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it also helps your. Now I've done that before. Whenever I cooked on the stove, I put salt
yeah,
in the water because it lowers the boiling temperature.
yeah, man. Yeah. We were talking about pizza, and I said I was kind of a purist. What about you? What when you think of pizza, what do you think of?
Man, I'll eat any type of pizza. I don't care what's on it. Pizza, like I love pizza, all kinds of pizza. Uh, Me personally, I'll eat cheese pizza, like if that's the only pizza that's available. But
Hmm.
I like hearty pizza. Like I like it to
Okay.
have at least one or two meats on it. Like if I go somewhere and I order a pizza, like I went to I don't go there very often, but I went to a pizza place downtown where we live, and I don't. It's called Rockies, but
Yeah.
I don't go there very often. But when I went there the other day, I called an order in, and I was like, well, I asked them if they had a specific type of pizza, and they were like, no. And I was like, well, can I just get a large, deep dish with double pepperoni? Because I didn't like any of their combinations. Like they didn't have any
Yeah.
normal combinations. They had like you could get pepperoni, sausage, and green peppers,
Oh
or you
yeah.
could get like onions, mushrooms, and sausage. And I was just like, it was just weird combinations of three different toppings. But no, I love some like meat lovers pizza or like supreme pizza if it's got all the different stuff on it.
Hmm.
Domino's has got a deluxe supreme that's really good. It's got like pepperoni, sausage, and hamburger, and then it's also got like green peppers, onions, mushrooms, black olives. It's really good. Um, I like taco pizza, like not the taco pizza that because I've had two different types of taco pizza. I've had one that's like a orangish yellow and it's got like just taco seasonings on it. But I've also
Hmm.
had another one that's like taco pizza. It's got salsa as the pizza sauce, and then
Is
it's
this
got
is this
like
the one that we
lettuce and
had you had at like
cheese.
CC's or whatever?
Yes,
You'd always order. Hmm.
yes, man. I've ordered a large of that and ate the whole pizza by myself.
Mm.
Like it's just it's phenomenal to me. But then off the wall pizzas too. Larry's has
Yeah.
a honey mustard chicken pizza. It's
Hmm.
amazing. Like the first time I ever heard about it, I was like, yeah, this pizza's not gonna be that great. And then I ate it and I was like, well, heck yeah, it's great. I've had I'm not really a fan of dessert pizzas, but
Mm. I love dessert
that's
pizzas.
just
Yeah.
because I'm not a dessert. I don't eat dessert. Like
Mm.
people see me and they're like, "Oh man, this guy loves his desserts." I really don't. I hate dessert. Like
Mm.
I don't really eat cookies. I don't really eat cake. I don't eat I mean ice cream every once in a while, but I kind of have to be in the mood for ice cream. Like
Mm.
I just don't eat it very often. I just don't eat the only sweet that I can think of that I almost have a borderline addiction with it. If I buy a bag of gummy worms,
Oh yeah.
the Torley gummy worms or whatever,
Hmm.
I'll sit there and eat the whole bag. I just can't stop myself. Like I'll just sit there and eat the whole bag. Like I'll eat them until I get sick. So every time I buy them, I buy a small bag because I know that I'm gonna eat that whole bag. But going back to
I yeah.
pizza, I mean, breakfast pizza, people knock
Mm.
it all the time. But there is I don't know if you've ever had it, Hunt's Brothers Pizza from gas
Mm-mm.
stations.
No.
That
Not.
pizza is so amazing. When we were in high school, when this was kind of like in the in between time, like you weren't you were with me sometimes when I went, but not all the time. When I would drive up, like when we'd have a band thing,
Oh yeah.
like I would drive up to the Shell station just right up the road from the school, and I would get like two slices of Hunt's Brothers pizza and like a Pepsi, and just drive back to the school and eat it in my truck.
Hmm.
But like it is so good, and like you get a quarter of the pizza. Like it's called a hunk of pizza. That's what they
Yeah.
sell it as. But they have some breakfast pizza that's amazing. It's got like eggs and sausage and all kinds of stuff on it. It's really
Well, it's
good.
like a pizza that I thought I wasn't going to like that I ended up liking a lot is barbecue chicken.
Yeah.
Because when I first started, I'm like, I'm not gonna like that very much. I'm like, I actually did. Well, that's because I think when you're first thinking of pizza, you think of your pizza sauce.
Uh huh.
But some of these other pizzas, like barbecue chicken pizza, or you were talking about, your taco pizza, that use a different sauce, you know, but it's still kind of on pizza dough, can be really good because you don't like dessert pizzas, but
Mhm.
I love. Speaking of CC's, that
Apple.
apple dessert. Yeah, the
Yeah.
apple dessert pizza.
Nick,
Um,
or Demon loves that too.
yeah, and then again, I love desserts, but just when you change or do like a riff on the style, like because like
Uh huh.
when you have pizza, with cheese and marinara sauce, and you have that age-old question, well, what is pizza? Same thing as like, well, what is a sandwich?
Mhm.
Um, because I've heard other people argue that burritos are a sandwich.
I've never heard burritos are a sandwich. I've heard hot dogs are just an open face sandwich.
Hmm. But when you take some of those ideas and you incorporate them in a way that works, like your taco pizza and some of these dessert pizzas, it can end up being much better than you think it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like
Uh,
people call boneless chicken wings, boneless wings, fancy
yeah.
chicken nuggets, fancy
Oh,
nuggets.
yeah. Oh, that was me.
Well, I've heard that. I've heard that tons of places.
Hmm.
Tons of places. A lot of people call it that. I've heard Pop Tarts called ravioli, fruit ravioli.
I've not heard that one. Interesting. Hmm. Yeah, because I guess when it comes to describing foods, I mean, you try to describe it in a way that you are familiar with.
Right.
You know, um, because in Japanese, when you have don at the end of a dish, it always just means it's on rice, and so you have thousands of these dishes that just end with don. And I don't know. One thing about English is we have a lot of different descriptive words, but I would say we don't have quite as many nouns, maybe, as other languages. Like, I don't know. Like, pizza is pizza rather than having like okay, you remember back in school when everyone's like talking about the Inuits from Alaska and how they had like 34 words for snow for the different types and we just have
Mhm.
snow.
Yeah.
It's something similar to that. Where it's like we have areas that English could be incredibly descriptive in
Mhm.
and some areas that it's really not. And I would say quite often with food, it's not. I mean, just look at the dish I was talking about earlier, chicken and peppers. That could mean anything, you know? But I mean, it's a very specific recipe, but we don't talk about any of the other stuff that goes in there. It's just chicken and peppers.
Yeah.
Um, and this is bell peppers, but you could be thinking it's like habanero or something. And so a lot of times, if you're trying to recreate a dish based on the name, you are not going to properly recreate that dish.
No. Well, I mean, take for example, we've been talking about spaghetti. If I just said I ate spaghetti and you had never, say you were from another country and you never heard of spaghetti
Hmm.
before, it doesn't even give you any type of, like, the only thing you might know is if you know anything about noodles and you know that spaghetti is a type of noodle and now
Hmm.
you got noodles. That's it. Like,
It's funny. I'm gonna bring up Game Grumps for a second here because I was watching a video uh, last week of some of their animateds, and he goes on this rant about macaroni and cheese and starts listing all the different types of macaroni and cheese. And I always get so frustrated at that video because when he's describing macaroni and cheese, he's just saying noodles and cheese, whereas macaroni is a type of noodle.
yeah. But I've seen tons of people do it with shells, like shells and
Yeah.
cheese, or
Hmm.
spaghetti and cheese. I mean, you can make
Right.
mac and cheese with spaghetti noodles. It
Hmm.
it just doesn't seem like
And so
it doesn't sound right,
that's
but
yeah, that's the part that gets kind of confusing, to someone who's not, familiar with, I would say maybe American culture or just what we eat. If you're like, if someone said, I'm gonna bring you macaroni and cheese, and they brought you some, chicken Alfredo, you'd be very confused. Or like, I have a specific example actually. One time, my brother and I we went to Cheddar's, and he got the pasta salad.
hmm
So when I say pasta salad, what do you think of?
when I think of pasta salad, I think of multicolored pasta, pepperoni, black olives, Italian dressing, cold.
Hmm. So here's what we got. My brother was flabbergasted. They brought him a salad with pasta in it.
Like a leafy green salad with pasta?
Yes, with pasta in it. And so he was just like, "What?"
What kind of pasta was in it?
Um,
Like
just
rigatoni or like some
yeah,
just.
just like rigatoni, like not even sauced, just like regular pasta. And so he was just flabbergasted. He was staring at it for like 10 minutes. He's like, "I'm so confused."
I would be confused. I've only eaten there one time,
Mhm.
and I got because it was highly. I don't want to say it was thrust upon me, but it was kind of thrust upon me. I got some kind of donut sandwich type of thing
The
with
Monte
some.
Cristo, yeah, I thrust that upon you.
It wasn't just you. There was a lot of people there, and I
Yeah.
have to say it was not a bad sandwich, but it wasn't a great sandwich either. I mean, the way that you guys were talking about it, this was like the end all be all of sandwiches, and I was like, yeah,
Well,
not so
that
much.
also comes back to the fact that you don't like sweets, right?
Yeah,
And the Monte Cristo is heavily based on the fact that it's a sweet sandwich. You know, you have the donut, you have the raspberry preserves. So if you're not a fan of sweets, you're really probably not gonna like it. I mean, you'll
right.
eat it because it's got meat in it and stuff, but unless you like that flavor profile, you know.
Right.
Yeah, because I love sweet things. You know, it's probably one of my downfalls is just sweet things. Like I love fudge. Uh, you know, it's one of the few things I'm actually happy to make is like bakery stuff.
Mhm.
But and this is where I differ both from you and my brother. I don't like that meaty flavor. So whenever I'm eating meat, I like it to not taste like meat.
What it
Uh,
like used to like when I got steak, talking about meat, like pure meat.
uh-huh.
When most people think about pure meat, they think of a steak. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or like maybe a pork chop or something like that. But when I eat steak, used to I would always put A1 sauce on. But
Hmm.
like that was just because I loved A1 sauce. Well,
Right.
I've had steaks without A1 sauce and like they were always all right, but they weren't great. Until I went to Longhorn and I got this steak and it is such a good steak and it's got like it's not flavor, it's not like sauced, it's just got like a rub or maybe like a it's
Yeah.
cooked, but it's black pepper. And that
Hmm.
steak is so good just by itself. Like
Hmm.
when I put it in my mouth, like literally like it is like the best taste in the world. I can just sit there and I just feel like all is right with the world as I eat this steak. Of course, once it's gone, the harsh reality of
Hmm.
sits back in. But for
Yeah.
for that for that 15-20 minutes that it takes me to eat that steak, because I savor every bite, it just
Hmm.
seems like everything is right in the world.
Nah, and I'm the exact opposite. When I'm eating steak or any kind of just like plain meat, uh, I count every second that I am eating that.
Yeah.
'Cause I actually have an anecdote of when I was younger. My aunt had made a steak, for everyone at the time, and like I just didn't touch it, because like I'm not eating that. And this was, back in the '90s now. Uh, so it was you're going to eat that whether you like it or not. And so I remember I had to cut a piece, put it in my mouth with milk, because the milk would kind of like cover up the taste.
Mhm.
And that's how I ate that whole thing because I just did not like the taste of meat. And like I'll be honest, I still kind of don't. Like if I get a dish that has meat, it's a very meaty flavor. I'm
Mhm.
not going to be a very big fan of it.
Yeah.
So like beef stew.
Mhm.
I love the flavor of the stew, but I would rather just not have the meat.
I can get behind some beef stew. I do like that.
I don't know, but that's just me. That's what we're talking about. Our preferences. I just don't
Yeah.
prefer the taste of meat.
No, I
I'm
get it.
much more of a sweets guy. I love fruit. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's just down to the way my taste buds are, like actually like genetically. I
Right.
think I just have my taste buds are more in line of tasting sugars than they are
Right.
with tasting I guess it'd be umami if for meats and stuff, cuz you're tasting the fat and all the other stuff for that, which is more of an umami flavor than anything else.
Yeah.
So, we've talked about foods that, we don't get tired of. I guess let's talk about foods that, you have a craving for every once in a while, but you don't eat it very often.
Um. If I had
It's,
one that I could say right off the bat that I love it when I want it, and
mhm.
but I don't even think about it if I don't want it. I don't even think about it, and that's
Mhm.
pancakes.
Mm. Okay.
When I get the craving for pancakes, like I love a good short stack, 3 or 4
Mhm.
pancakes. I love to put peanut butter on them, but if I don't have peanut butter available, I mean I can just use syrup. But I prefer if I had my perfect short stack, it'd be 4 pancakes, peanut butter, a little bit of syrup, just right over the top
Mhm.
to kind of go with the peanut butter flavor.
Yeah.
Best flavor in the world. But I have to be in the mood for it because any other time, if I'm not in the mood for it and somebody says pancakes, I'm like, ugh, I don't want no pancakes.
Mhm.
Because it's just one of those things that I've always, I have to be in the mood for it.
Mhm. Trying to think of one that I'm similar because part of it is like SpaghettiOs for me,
Uh huh.
or at least from the Kroger brand SpaghettiOs. Is like when I'm feeling SpaghettiOs, man, I will eat that. But then there's days I'll look at it, and I'm like, no,
No.
no, anything but that.
Yeah.
Another thing that's I know I just went on that tangent about how I don't like meat, but another one that like every so often I'll get a craving for is those mouth bite burgers or whatever, big mouth bites from Chili's.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like one of the few times where I'll eat a hamburger and actually enjoy it. But I don't get that, very often.
Right. Well, I mean,
And I don't.
it's a smaller. I mean, the patties on those are real thin, and it's not like
Mhm.
you're not eating a mouthful of burger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Because I sometimes, you get that random craving
Mm-hmm.
for something where like I don't know if it's I'm deprived of protein or whatever. I'm like I need something like that right now.
Yeah. Pancakes is the biggest one for me, but I really can't. I was trying to think of another one that I get a craving for every once in a while, and I just can't.
I'm kind of thinking cereal actually now that I think about it.
I don't
Because
eat cereal. I mean, a Raisin Bran.
yeah, well, because like you know, I don't eat cereal very often, but then when I do, or when I feel like I want cereal,
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it's just sitting in my cabinet, and like I'll eat something else for breakfast.
Like I love Raisin Bran. Heck, I love just plain bran flakes.
Hmm.
I like if I get I like shredded mini wheats, but I don't like them frosted. I like them just
Oh,
shredded
okay.
wheat. Like
Hmm. That makes
it goes
sense. Yeah,
back
you
to
don't
the
like sugar.
I don't
Yeah.
like the sweet stuff. So
Right.
like my son is always wanting to get all these cereals that are like sugar cereals, and I'm just
Yeah.
like the other day I kind of had a cravings for cereal, but it was like that doesn't happen very often. I was like, I really want some cereal, you know. But I think more than anything, it was I wanted the milk, but I don't like to drink.
Ah.
I don't like milk by itself. And so
Okay.
like I was like, well, I could eat some cereal, and he had some cereal in the cabinet. But all he had was like all these sugary cereals, and I got me a small bowl, and I took like 3 bites, and I was like, yeah, no, this is not. No, I threw it away. I just couldn't eat
Uh-huh.
it. It was just too
Yeah.
sweet. Cause like if I eat cereal, it's got to be something like even like Raisin Bran is all right, but raisins to me aren't like super sweet. I mean they
No.
are technically
Yeah.
a fruit. fruit-ish, maybe? Are they a fruit?
They're fruit. They're dehydrated fruits.
Okay.
Because they're raisins or grapes that have been dehydrated.
They're legumes.
They are not legumes.
They're not?
No.
What is a legume? Why do I know that word?
Peanuts.
Peanuts a legume?
Peanuts are a legume.
What's a kumquat?
A kumquat is a fruit. It's similar to, not really. It's kind of similar to like a plum or orange, kind of like that thing. I think it's kumquat. I think it's a stone fruit. Yeah, it's more like a plum. It's a stone fruit.
What about a suffocated kumquat?
I've not heard of that.
it's from Dodgeball.
Oh, dude, I haven't seen that movie in 10 years.
He's like, would you like a this? Would you like a that? A suffocated kumquat, perhaps? It's just like a kumquat that's been like squished down, and it's like in a vacuum sealed little thing.
Oh,
it's quote unquote suffocated. I don't know.
You know, crap. I have to look now. What? I can see it in my head, but I can't see the inside of it. I need to see. What kind of
you can see the platter. You can see the platter, but you can't see inside of it. It's like this little orange looking thing. Oh man. Well, what about we talked about foods we loved, and we've talked about kind of one-off foods. Real quick before we wrap this up for today, what about, is there any foods that you absolutely loathe, like you will not eat it? If somebody offered you like $1,000, you would not eat this food?
Yeah. So I love sweets. I hate coconut.
Oh yeah?
Yes, I hate coconut.
But coconut's not sweet.
I know, but a lot of times, because I mean you're not a big sweets person, but if you go and look at a lot of those different sweets, sometimes people try to class it up by putting coconut on it.
Oh.
You know, like coconut flakes on top, and that will completely ruin it for me.
I love coconut. In fact, if there was one sweet, now that you said coconut, it came to mind. That could go under a craving, and it is technically a sweet, I guess. Coconut.
Snowballs?
No, coconut cream pie.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, it's more like a pudding than a pie, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the one I get, I always get it from Walmart, and it's like in a little tiny cup, and it's got just a little bit of graham cracker crust in the very, very bottom, but not like a pie. And then it's got like the coconut cream or whatever, and then it's got like coconut on top of it. Every once in a while, I get a craving for that, and it is so good.
Yeah. So for me, you know, there's coconut and then cilantro. I hate cilantro, but then cilantro is one of those things you either hate or you love.
Yeah.
Where like, okay, I have a better example actually than those. Seaweed. So
I've never had fresh seaweed, but I've had like salted, dried seaweed. It was
any
awful.
kind of seaweed for me.
It was awful.
Like, you know, I went to Japan and sushi is pretty big there.
Mm-hmm.
And so is seaweed. So like seaweed, they'll have on all of their different rice balls that you'll get in the store. And I cannot do it. Like, as soon as I taste seaweed, I start to gag. And so that's one thing I cannot eat. And it saddens me that, you know, there's a big portion of a culture I love that I can't eat, you know, that food type, because I hate that particular ingredient. And that, you know, I've had dishes I love. I was talking about katsudon earlier. I went to a restaurant once where they had little bits of shredded seaweed in the katsudon, and I could not eat it.
Huh.
I was like, this is disgusting.
Well, I mean,
what about you?
it just has to deal with, you know, the way it's prepared and stuff like that. I personally, you know, I've been thinking about it ever since I said it. I can't think of a single food that I like. I put the stipulation in for like the $1,000 or whatever. I can't even think. I can't think of a single food that I wouldn't at least attempt to eat if money were on the line. Like,
if money were on the line, yeah.
There are some foods that I don't like. Like I'm not a real big fan of like black licorice. It's technically a candy, but it's not as sweet. But like, I could eat it if I had to. Like, it's not that I wouldn't gag or vomit or, anything like that. Like I was just trying to think, but I just can't. I can't really think of a food that I mean, I really don't like Brussels sprouts, and but to be honest, I mean that really boils down to how they're cooked. Because I've had Brussels sprouts that I did like.
Mm-hmm.
It all boils down to how it's cooked or how it's prepared, and stuff like that. But no, I can't. Maybe I could think of one. I mean, if we lived in another country, there's no way that you could pay me enough money to eat bugs. Like, I guess I could probably eat them if I didn't know that I was eating them. Like, because people say, oh, you eat bugs all the time, like whenever you're eating this or when you're eating that, because they crawl around in it. I mean, yeah, but I don't know that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, like, at those chocolate crickets and, stuff like that. Like, I could never bring myself to do that intentionally.
Right.
I guess another one now that I'm really thinking about it, and I said that mussels, like the seafood,
yeah.
like clam, not. I don't know that I've ever had clams, but I had mussels at Olive Garden one time.
Ooh.
And to be honest, it tasted like a non-chewable lump of lake water. It didn't. It didn't make me sick or anything, but I will never eat. I will never eat that again.
Right. Same thing. Like I'll never eat escargot.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I remember. I remember.
People talk about like with mussels and escargot, the way you're supposed to make them is drown them in that sauce because essentially you're just eating the sauce.
Yeah.
And then you swallow whatever mussels or snails are in there whole. Mm-hmm. But nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good too. Cause like to me, like if I can't chew it, then why am I eating it?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because I mean I eat to enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people that's like, I eat for sustenance alone.
All right, outside of the food realm, just anything that you consume or partake of, is there anything that as soon as you touch it to your lips, you have to it's gone?
Yes. Apple juice.
Apple juice?
Apple juice.
I knew it was going to be a drink, because mine's a drink.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about apple juice, but like I'll pour a glass, like I'll pour it right there, and I'll take a sip, and my glass is gone.
And you're just like,
and it's like, I just poured this. where I don't know why, but for apple juice, like I could drink that whole gallon in one sitting. Yeah. I don't know what it does to my stomach that I can take in that much fluid, but yeah, apple juice, man, it's just gone.
See, for me, and this is probably, I guess this is one of the other only things, besides gummy worms, it's the only other sweet thing that I like, that's chocolate milk. I can't. Like if I buy a half gallon of chocolate milk, because I never buy a gallon because the gallon is 1%, and I don't like the taste of it. But if it's 2% or higher, it's gone. Like it's gone. There's no way that gallon is lasting a whole day. Now, I might not drink the whole, half gallon in one sitting, but if I pour a cup, I'll just sit there and I'll just drink the whole cup. I just can't stop myself. Yoo-hoo is like that. Well, I mean, it's a chocolate drink.
Yeah.
But, if I take a sip of Yoo-hoo, it's gone. Like, my son gets, the Yoo-hoo cans all the time. And, every once in a while, I'll be like, you know what? I'll get one of them. And I'll get one. And I can't even walk to my room with it. It'll be gone before I get back here. So I usually just drink it in the kitchen and then walk back to my room.
Yeah. But usually for, things I finish before I even realize I finished them, they're almost always drinks.
Yeah.
Then again, I just like to drink. Drinks I really do like. Then again, I like sweets and stuff, so I like sweeter drinks.
Yeah.
But, so apple juice or really, most kind of juices I can down pretty quickly, but apple juice for some reason it's like I have a black hole in my stomach.
You're like, I have to consume.
Yeah.
Consume. All right. Well, that kind of wraps it up. Unless you have any, if you have any other things that you want to mention or bring up this morning.
Not this morning.
All
so
right.
yeah, I guess we this has been our podcast this morning, Culmination of Randomness. This was episode 3 again. I'm AeonWraith, and my co-host here,
Red Shadow.
was also participating quite a lot, which I would hope so. Otherwise, it would just be talking to myself. But thanks for coming. We'll be doing this again. Oh, sorry. You have something you want to add?
One last thing. This is not to do with this morning's podcast, but future podcasts. This will be the last Sunday that I'm on night shift.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And so next Sunday it will be the normal schedule. We'll go live around 8:15, between 8:15 and 8:30. We'll go live for the 4th episode of the Culmination of Randomness Podcast. And then the Sunday after that, I will be at work during the normal scheduled time. So
yes,
we
might just shift it 12 hours, but
we're going to discuss it, and maybe you guys can give us some feedback. We'll either shift it to a night stream, so shift it 12 hours straight down, 8:15 to 8:30 in the evening. But I'm leaning more towards shifting it one day forward and doing it on that Monday at 8:15.
Okay.
But like I said, we'll discuss that off stream. We just wanted to go ahead and give you, if you are watching, if you are following the podcast, we wanted to let you know about that future little speed bump in our scheduling. So, with that, I'm done. I'm Red Shadow.
I'm AeonWraith, and we'll both be uploading this to our YouTube channels. You have Red Shadows, which is Mr. Red Shadow 212, and you have mine, which is AeonWraith. So you can go and if you ever miss a podcast, I have my test podcast on there as well, but Shadow only has the official ones. But if you miss a podcast, they'll be there. So if you can't catch the stream, don't be as worried. So thanks for joining, and we will see you next time.